I met Derek at a tech incubator 3 years ago. He was charismatic, connected, the kind of person who could sell ice to Eskimos. I was the coder, quiet, obsessive, the one who actually built things. We complemented each other perfectly. He raised the money, I wrote the code. He schmoozed the investors, I debugged the architecture. We launched our startup, Nexus AI, with a revolutionary algorithm that could predict consumer behavior with uncanny accuracy. Within 2 years, we were valued at $15 million. Within 3, Derek was meeting with competitors behind my back, leaking our code, and planning to destroy everything we'd built. Let me rewind. My name is Marcus. I'm 34, a software engineer, and I've been coding since I was 12. I'm not a people person. I'm awkward in social situations, terrible at small talk, and completely incapable of selling anything. But I can build things. Beautiful, elegant, functional things that work the way they're supposed to. Derek was the opposite. He was smooth, polished, a natural salesman who could walk into a room and own it. We met at a startup weekend, where I'd built a prototype of what would become Nexus AI. He saw its potential immediately, approached me after my pitch, and offered to partner. "I'll handle the business side," he said. "You handle the tech. Together, we'll be unstoppable." He was right. For 2 years, we were unstoppable. We raised a seed round, then a Series A, then a Series B. We hired a team of brilliant engineers, moved into a fancy office, became darlings of the tech press. Derek was the face of the company, interviews, podcasts, conference keynotes. I was the ghost in the machine, the invisible genius who made it all work. I didn't mind. I'd never wanted fame. I just wanted to build things. But somewhere along the way, Derek started to change. The success went to his head. When the acquisition goes through, you'll get your payout and you can go back to coding in your basement. Everyone wins. Except you'll be the one running the show, right? You'll be the hero who sold the company, while I'm just the guy who wrote the code. He didn't deny it. I walked out of his office, my mind racing. He'd stolen our code. He'd betrayed our partnership. And he thought he'd get away with it. But he didn't know about my insurance policy. He didn't know about the self-destruct protocol I'd built into the code years ago, back when I first started to distrust him. Let me explain. When I write code, I build in layers. The visible layer is what users see, the interface, the features, the functionality. But beneath that, there are hidden layers, backdoors, failsafes, emergency protocols that only I know about. The self-destruct protocol was one of them. A piece of code that, when activated, would render the entire system useless. Not just delete files, corrupt them in a way that couldn't be reversed. The code would still exist, but it would never run again. I'd built it as a last resort, a way to protect our intellectual property if the worst happened. I never thought I'd use it. But now, I had no choice. I waited 3 days. 3 days of watching Derek strut around the office, confident in his betrayal. 3 days of monitoring the competitor systems, waiting for them to launch with our code. 3 days of preparing my counterstrike. On the 3rd day, Predictive Dynamics announced their new product, Predictive AI, powered by revolutionary algorithms. It was our code, our work, our future, and they were launching it in 48 hours. I activated the self-destruct protocol. The code was designed to wait, to lie dormant until a specific trigger, in this case, the first time the system was accessed by a user. They'd have to rebuild from scratch, months of work, millions of dollars, all wasted. I felt a surge of satisfaction, quickly followed by a wave of exhaustion. This wasn't just revenge. This was war. Derek called me within the hour. His voice was frantic, high-pitched, completely unlike his usual smooth confidence. "Marcus, did you see what happened? Predictive Dynamics system crashed. Completely. They're saying it's a total loss." I saw. Did you? I did. Silence. Then, you destroyed our code? The code we spent years building. I destroyed their copy. The one you gave them. Our code is still safe, on our servers, protected. Marcus, do you realize what you've done? They're going to come after us. They'll sue. They'll do nothing. Because if they sue, I'll release the logs showing you transferred the code illegally. They'll be exposed as accomplices to theft. They'll lose whatever credibility they have left. Another long silence. When Derek spoke again, his voice was different, quieter, more dangerous. You've thought of everything, haven't you? I've been thinking about this for a long time, Derek. Since the first time I caught you lying to me. The call ended. I sat in my apartment, heart pounding, mind racing. I'd won this round, but the war was far from over. The next few days were chaos. Predictive Dynamics stock plummeted. Their CEO resigned. The tech press dissected every detail of the crash, speculating about what went wrong. A few outlets hinted at sabotage, but without proof, it was just rumor. Derek, meanwhile, was in damage control mode. He called emergency board meetings, hired crisis PR consultants, tried to spin the story in our favor. But the board had questions. Hard questions about how our code ended up with a competitor. Questions Derek couldn't answer without implicating himself. I watched from the sidelines, waiting for the next move. That's not sabotage, that's self-defense. The discovery process was brutal. Predictive Dynamics lawyers deposed me for hours, trying to trip me up, to catch me in inconsistencies. They asked about my relationship with Derek, my motives, my mental state. They insinuated that I was bitter, jealous, unstable. I answered calmly, truthfully, refusing to be rattled. Then came Derek's deposition. I wasn't there, but Priya told me everything afterward. Under oath, Derek crumbled. He admitted to meeting with Predictive Dynamics, to discussing a potential acquisition, to sharing some of our code as a good faith gesture. He claimed he'd never intended to betray me, that he was just exploring options. But the logs told a different story. The transfer was massive, our entire codebase. And it happened at 2 a.m., without board approval, without any agreement in place. The judge, a woman named Morrison, reviewed the evidence and made a preliminary ruling. Derek had likely engaged in corporate espionage. His actions were not protected by any business justification. The case against me, meanwhile, was weak. The self-destruct protocol was a security measure, activated after the theft. I'd acted to protect our IP, not to destroy a competitor. Predictive Dynamics' case crumbled. They withdrew their lawsuit, settled quietly, and paid our legal fees. Derek was fired from the company, his reputation in tatters. The board issued a statement praising me for protecting our intellectual property, and offered me the CEO position. I declined. I'm a coder, not a suit. But Derek wasn't done. A week after the lawsuit ended, I got a letter. Handwritten, on plain paper from him. Marcus. I know you think you've won. I know you think I'm the villain. But you don't know the whole story. You never did. I didn't steal the code for money. I stole it because I was desperate. The company was failing, you just didn't see it. Our burn rate was insane, our investors were pulling out, and we were months from bankruptcy. Predictive Dynamics offered a lifeline, an acquisition that would have saved jobs, saved the company, saved everything we built. I couldn't tell you because you would have fought it. You would have insisted on staying independent, on fighting until the end. And we would have lost everything. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just telling you the truth. Derek. I read the letter 3 times. Was it true? Had the company been failing? I checked the financials, our burn rate, our runway, our investor commitments. Derek was right. We were in trouble. Deeper trouble than I'd known. I sat with that knowledge for days. Derek had betrayed me, yes. But he'd also been trying to save the company, in his own twisted, dishonest way. It didn't excuse what he'd done. But it complicated the story. The company, without Derek, stabilized. I stepped in as interim CTO, working with the board to cut costs, refocus our strategy, rebuild trust with investors. It wasn't easy, but slowly, painfully, we turned things around. Then, 6 months later, I got another letter. This one was from Predictive Dynamics' former CEO, a man named Richard. He'd been forced out after the crash, his career in ruins. He wanted to meet. I agreed, curious. We met at a coffee shop, neutral ground. He looked older, diminished, the confidence drained from him. Marcus, he said, I need to tell you something. About Derek. About the deal. I waited. He didn't steal your code for money. He stole it because I blackmailed him. I felt the world tilt. What? I had dirt on him. Financial irregularities from years ago, before you started the company. I threatened to expose him unless he delivered your code. He didn't want to do it. He fought me for weeks. But in the end, he had no choice. Why are you telling me this now? Because I'm dying. Cancer. I wanted to tell you, but I couldn't. I was so ashamed. You should have trusted me. We could have figured something out together. I know. But I was scared. Scared of losing everything. Scared of you hating me. And in the end, I lost it all anyway. We talked for hours. He told me about the blackmail, the pressure, the impossible choice. He told me about the night he transferred the code, how sick he'd felt, how he'd almost called it off a dozen times. He told me about the months since, the depression, the isolation, the regret. When we finally parted, I didn't forgive him. Not yet. But I understood. And understanding, I was learning, was the first step toward something. The weeks that followed were strange. Derek and I started talking regularly, not about business, but about life. About our mistakes, our regrets, our hopes for the future. He was seeing a therapist, working through the trauma, trying to become someone different. I was doing my own work, learning to trust again, to let go of the anger. Then one day, Derek called with news. Richard had died. His estate was being settled, and in his papers, Derek's lawyer had found something, a letter from Richard, confessing everything, exonerating Derek. It was enough to clear his name, to restore his reputation, to give him a chance at a future. I don't know what to do with it, Derek said. Publish it? Ignore it? What would you do? I thought about it. About justice, about redemption, about the difference between being a victim and being a hero. Publish it, I said. Tell the truth. Let people decide. So what happens when the truth comes out? Does the world forgive Derek? And can our friendship ever be repaired? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The final part is about redemption, closure, and the long road ahead. Subscribe. Derek published Richard's letter on a Tuesday. Within hours, it went viral. Something that mattered. Derek spoke at the launch event. He stood on stage, nervous but determined, and told our story. The partnership, the betrayal, the blackmail, the redemption. He didn't spare himself. He admitted his mistakes, his lies, his failures. But he also talked about learning, growing, becoming someone different. I'm not here to ask for forgiveness, he said. I'm here to say that people can change. That mistakes don't have to define you. That even in the darkest moments, there's a way forward. I watched from the audience, tears in my eyes. This was the Derek I'd always believed in. The one who'd been buried under fear and shame, but who'd finally found his way out. After the event, we stood together, looking at the small crowd of people who'd come to support us. Thank you, he said quietly. For everything. For believing in me. For giving me a second chance. You earned it, Derek. The hard way. He nodded, a small smile on his face. Yeah, I guess I did. The micro-niche here isn't just startup sabotage or corporate espionage. It's about the complexity of human beings, the way we can be both victims and perpetrators, both wrong and right, both broken and healing. It's about learning that the people who hurt us are often hurting too, and that forgiveness isn't a gift we give them, it's a gift we give ourselves. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? Did you find a way to forgive, or did you have to let go? Share your stories in the comments below. Let's talk about the messy, complicated work of redemption. And if this story of code, blackmail, and hard-won peace resonated with you, share it. Sometimes, the most important algorithms aren't in our code, they're in our hearts. Thanks for listening.